I want so badly to be connected with you that I'm willing to go where it feels safe to you. I want to talk to you about playfulness today in the realm of intimacy and trust. I do help friends with their children and their dogs as far as making a more intimate bond and connection of trust with them via both playfulness and follow through. I used to work with the local school districts, and I would work one-on-one with kids with severe behavior disorders. We're talking throw themselves on the ground, full-on tantrum, even at 7 and 8 years old, screaming, throwing things at people, biting. The teachers in this district would say, "What is that magic that you have, Rachel?" You know, they wouldn't listen to anyone else. The reason why I had such a high level of positive feedback with my kids was because I was willing to get down to their level. I was willing to first establish a bond and a level of trust and intimacy by playing with them. So before we come in and we start, creating the structures of this is how it's gonna go, this is how our day is gonna go, and what I expect as far as respect and honor. Before we do that, it's absolutely 100% necessary to play. What you're wanting to ask in your relationships, not only obviously with your pets or your children, but also with your partners, with your parents, with your family, with your coworkers, what you're wanting to ask is, what can I do on my end to cause this person, this animal, to feel more safe? And how can I be playful? How can I get down to where I perceive that they are? So playfulness is not just about being happy and joyful and tuning into the creative power of Source and jumping around and dancing. Playfulness is about being very vulnerable. So you'll see in all of my videos, there's sometimes videos where I'm crying, sometimes where I'm really tuned into my pain. That doesn't mean that I'm any less of a playful person. That means that I'm more so. In fact, tune in right now to the playful people in your life. The most playful people in your life are also the most emotionally expressive, aren't they? They're the ones that will tell you when they're feeling in pain. They're the ones that will tell you when something doesn't feel good to them. So how can you tune into your loved ones? How can you tune into your children? How can you tune into your partner and make them feel like what they're wanting, what they're needing, what they're asking of you is not wrong? How can you make them feel like where their boundaries are is okay and that you're going to honor their boundaries? This is all a part of the unwritten rules of playfulness. How can you, asking that question, how can I make you feel more safe? Yeah? So when you're playing with yourself, let's say you don't have dogs at home, you're completely isolated, you're not seeing family or friends, you got to ask yourself that same question. How can I make you feel more safe? What do you need in order for me to completely let loose and trust you more and feel more of a connection between you and me? So going back to this behaviors, really increasing the level of respect and honor in a relationship via playfulness. My father was a elementary school administrator, primary school administrator for 40 years. And he was the textbook, literally a professional disciplinarian. Literally. He taught workshops on how to discipline effectively with love. And the reason why he was so successful in what he did was because he played with those kids, even as an administrator, even as an elementary principal. He would be out there at recess time with the kids, kicking soccer balls to them, throwing footballs. Back in the day when you could pick kids up, picking them up, swinging them around, that sort of a thing. To establish that level of, again, bond, intimacy, and trust, because you can't expect the behaviors to shift before you have that. And playfulness is the key way in order to bridge those two things. And you have this gorgeous, beautiful mesh of anything's possible when we cause somebody else to feel like, hey, I'm not on a level above you, and I'm also not on a level below you. I'm right where you're at. So where can we go with this energy of I'm willing to be where you're at? So many times, I feel it sometimes with myself because I can be stubborn, yeah? So many times we can be at that level, even on a phone call with a friend where we're like, I want my way. No, I want my way. Well, I want my way. Try this next time energetically. If you're on the phone with someone, let's say you have a crush on or you're feeling, try going, you know what? The most important thing to me, and you're not going to say this out loud unless you want to, say this to yourself. The most important thing to me is that I feel connected to you, and I'm willing to connect with you at any place that feels good to you. Yeah, because that's a huge block for us when we're like, I'm only willing to connect intimately with you if you buy me chocolate and flowers and show up at my door exactly 5 minutes beforehand. That's the only way you can prove to me that you have a right to be intimate with me. That person doesn't really want to be intimate. That person's fear of intimacy is way higher than their desire. So if you're someone now, you're moving into 2021 and you're like, that's it. I want playfulness, intimacy. I want a sacred bond. I want trust in my relationships. I'm committed to this. If that's you, then you've got to be honest with yourself and ask yourself that question. Am I willing to connect with my loved one wherever they feel best connecting? And some of you are like, I don't know if I could go there emotionally, you know? Some people hate going there emotionally. Let's be honest. I've got family members that do not want to talk about emotions. And you have that person in your life too, right? Where they're like, don't go too deep. Like, I can't meet you there. And it's my MO in the past, my past self, which would be like, no, you know what I'm saying? We're fucking going there. We're going to talk about feelings. We're going to go deep and we're going to get connected. Whereas for someone who has severe trauma associated with being that intimate and that deep, they're not going to be able to go there with you. And in fact, the only bridge to going there with you that exists is meeting them where they do feel safe. And that could look like talking about politics, you know, talking about history, talking about travel, talking about what's underneath the hood of a car. You know, some of us are like, I want to be closer to my man, but then we go to a place maybe that they don't feel safe and comfortable with. Maybe it's time for us to talk about what's underneath the hood in order to, again, establish that connection and that willingness to be where they are. Yeah? I want so badly to be connected with you that I'm willing to go where it feels safe to you. That's what playfulness is. With animals, with children, with adults. Playfulness is a willingness to find that place where we can meet together, including with yourself. Yeah? I love you so much. You're so amazing. Welcome to the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Da, 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 da. I hope you have a great day. You're doing so great at life. Mwah.